Hello and welcome to the Beer Pad. We have a excellent show for you today.
No, we have a show today.
We do have a show today. We're coming a bit early because tomorrow is Halloween.
We got shit to do.
Yeah. Marcus has kids to scare, and I have candy to throw at kids. Although we don't get many trick-or-treaters in my neighborhood, sadly.
That's because you live in a gated community with fucking a moat and sharks with laser beams.
In Lord British's house.
Yes, exactly. Yes, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Still kicking. I know we're going to talk about some superhero-y type TV shows today.
Yes.
And so I have...
nice. So
yeah, I picked this up at Disneyland, actually, in 2021.
It looks stylish and comfortable.
It is, and it has a hood on it.
And
this is part of my workout gear. I mean, basically, it's awesome. I really like it. It's such a comfortable little thing. So yeah, if you go to the Avengers campus, they sell a bunch of really good,
very cool
merch there at extortionate Disney prices.
So Marcus and I are going to talk about Gen V on Amazon Prime. It is a spinoff of The Boys, a series we both love on Amazon Prime. But before we get to that, we wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the late, great Matthew Perry, who just recently passed away. Marcus, I know Friends is a big series for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones that is, I was in my, let's see, when it first aired, I was in my early 20s. So, it's living I was living in London at the time, and it was one of those ones that was shown on Channel 4 in the UK. And it really sort of like kicked off right away and was very, very popular. And, it obviously, being a lot older now and actually living in America, it was that ideal of shit. That's what I want. I want to have an apartment in New York City because, I mean, apparently these apartments are so big and everything, and they're all rent controlled, and then nobody else. You could work in a fucking coffee shop and still afford this palatial palace.
Yeah.
Obviously now I know a lot better, but and it's funny. I've actually been down to the Friends stage at Warner Brothers because I've got a friend who's a muckety muck at Warner Brothers, and he took me through their tour and everything where they've recreated the cafe and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it was, it's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Probably it's definitely my top two, between that and Red Dwarf as my favorite comedy shows of all time. And of the characters, Matthew Perry's Chandler Bing was the one I related to the most.
Yes.
Not a super good looking guy, kind of self-deprecating,
very sarcastic.
Yes, very sarcastic, not exactly super confident with the ladies, and it seemed to be to me, and I'm sure that that was obviously the beauty of this show and their six characters, that everybody could relate to one character,
right?
And so I mean, that was it. I mean, he was he passed the same sarky comments that I would. And I just felt like, a real connection to that character. And I've watched the show religiously, and so much so, in fact, I'm a total spod for admitting this. I rewatch Friends every year, all 10 seasons.
Holy shit.
Just drop them on HBO Max, stream them through. And I do, it's on the background just to.
Okay. Yeah.
And sometimes I will fall asleep in front of them and wake up, halfway through another episode. But yeah, losing Matthew Perry.
Only 54.
He was only 54, but obviously he's had this, well documented issue with addiction his entire career. He said he was an alcoholic at 14. And that's the thing that is the tragedy of this. I mean, if you watch the show, you see how he looks. You can tell. Late season 2 through to about season 4, 5, his weight fluctuates. At some points, he's skeletally thin.
Yeah.
It's really terrifying. And then to see him in later years after he did Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, which was a great show, that was Aaron Sorkin, and unfortunately got cancelled after one season because NBC are fucking morons, and that show could have run for several seasons. It was so good, in my opinion. And he did, he did a bunch of other stuff. He did movies, but you would actually, when you see him on a chat show, so like in the last 5 to 7 years, the speech is slowed.
Right.
The Friends reunion,
Right.
he come from having dental work, apparently, but you could see that he was struggling. I mean, you could see it not with addiction, but with what the addiction had done to him.
Right. I was surprised to learn he was only 54 when he passed. From the Friends reunion, I thought he was, I don't know, put close to 60.
He was one of the youngest cast members, actually. So yeah, I mean, it was it's a huge tragedy that he's gone, and obviously everybody's talking about how he's what happened, blah blah blah. But my understanding is he played pickleball for 2 hours, came home, his assistant went out to run an errand, and he got in the hot tub, and that level of addiction will weaken your heart, and it sounds like he had a heart attack in the pool and drowned.
Right.
Which is, I mean, it's just fucking tragic. It really is. And yeah, I don't want to start the show on a super downer, but I just want everybody to realize how bad opioid addiction is, because a lot of the painkillers, opioids. I took opioids for about 2 days after my heart bypass in 2020 because I was in so much pain because carved open my chest, cracked open my rib cage, fucked around in there. But then I came off them of my own free will. I was like, all right, I've taken them for 2 days. That's it. And even coming off them after just 2 days, I'd probably taken about 6 in 2 days, 3 a day. It was hell. Absolutely hell. What it does is fucks up your system. You can't go to the bathroom. Yeah, opioids are just the worst. And the fact that this man's been, went through all that, and then he got himself on the straight and narrow, and he was a huge advocate for drug rehabilitation laws and for rehab clinics and stuff like that. Raised a lot of money. For him to go that early is really, really sad. So if you haven't watched Friends, watch Friends. Some people like it, some people don't. There's also, I mean, he did some other stuff. The whole 9 yards with Bruce Willis was
great in
really
that.
funny.
I like
the whole
17.
10 yards. The whole 10 yards, not so much.
I loved 17 again. Yeah,
17 again with Zac Efron. I mean, he's basically, because of the premise of the story, he's in the beginning and he's in the end.
He's the bookend.
That's it. Fools Rush In with Salma Hayek. Nice little rom-com.
I love that
Tango,
movie.
a little bit offensive. Now hasn't aged very well, but he plays a straight guy who pretends to be gay.
Because he was confused for being gay, and they just ran with it. So in the movie.
Avoid Serving Sarah, which is just because what's her name? Hugh Grant's ex cannot act to save her life. Oh. But yeah, Saturday was a sad day when it broke, when the news broke. Here in LA, I mean, it hit pretty quickly. He was all over social media, and I'm like, such a shame. I mean, he really could have had a much better career, much longer, more impactful, more varied career, I think, had he had the support he perhaps needed in his younger years, because when you get that level of fame, nobody prepares you for it. Right. Nobody. And you surround yourself with the wrong people and you have issues in the first place, you're fucked. So rest in peace, Matthew Perry.
And let's appreciate his great work, as Marcus said. Enjoy his performances on Friends and in his movies, and remember the great times he gave us. So thank you, Matt.
Yeah, could he be any funnier? I don't think so.
Wear a sweater vest, just pay some homage to him. So today we're talking about The Boys, or Gen V, a spinoff of The Boys. So why don't we start off with that for background? We're both big fans of The Boys. Why did you like that series so much, Marcus? And if you're watching live, leave comments and we will address them at the end.
I like The Boys because it's funny, it's sweary, there's nudity, there's blood and gore in it. It's everything a growing boy needs to watch. It's the total anti-Marvel and anti-DC.
Right.
And it hit at a time where just before we were about to get superhero fatigue with Marvel and DC. I think season 1 hit in 2018, maybe 2019.
Let's see.
Let's see. He's gonna Wikipedia
2019, yes.
2019. Okay, so this was I think after Endgame. That Infinity War and Endgame had sort of like hit the peak Marvel, and that was like everything after that went down the shitter, as we all know. Great cast,
Yeah, for sure.
across the board, including Jack Quaid, who is the son of Meg Ryan, and Douglas Quaid, Dennis, yes, and then of course the wonderful Butcher.
Billy Butcher, yes.
Billy Butcher in it, you slags. Yeah, it's just had a great cast. Bunch of varied people in there. Elizabeth Shue in there. I mean, it's
Giancarlo Esposito.
You see that it's like an old VH1 show behind the music, but behind the suits, behind the cape. And you see drugs, sex, blah, blah. And it's one of those ones that just starts off so well. 1 minute you're watching, was it Dougie? Huey, sorry, not Dougie. Who's Dougie? I'm thinking of something else. Huey is holding his girlfriend's hands. And then that's all he's holding of her is her hands, because A-Train goes straight through her because he's out of his head on drugs.
By the way, spoiler alert for everything.
Oh, so yeah, come on. If you haven't watched it since 2019, get with the fucking program. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, it's Garth Ennis. Garth Ennis is a very, very talented comic book person, and he likes to fuck around with the tropes. And it starts off with a bang. We see a lot. We see how absolute power can corrupt absolutely.
Right.
And it's what if Superman was a cunt?
Yeah.
Homelander.
Yeah.
And so, and then obviously as we progress through, we see more about Vought, the company behind the soups, and you see all the dodgy actions going on. And it's just, every season is just so well paced. Great characters, great storylines, just lots of variety, and it just kicks on every season. I don't think there's been. I think the first two seasons are probably the best, but 3 and 4 aren't that far behind it.
I agree. I love the comic books, so I was tracking this series for a while, and I wasn't sure how they were going to adapt it, because a lot of it is just Garth Ennis being possibly insane and doing messed up things, and I'm like, you can't possibly do this in a TV show. And then a lot of it was because a lot of the comics were rooted in the post 9/11 feel of America, but they modernized it. And I was really, really impressed by how they adapted it to current times. So season 1 is probably the most like the comics, but after that, it's really branched out and become its own thing as a TV show. So I love the story. Parody and satire are my favorite forms of comedy. So I love how this skewers superhero tropes, and a lot of it is a commentary on the current state of America, and I think it does a great job of reflecting that. So the writing, the performances, the characters that I already love, but updated to fit in today's world, all fantastic things. So I love this series, but I agree with you that the first 2 seasons were probably best.
And obviously there's no 4th season yet. The 4th season is coming.
Right.
I said 4 seasons, but yeah, I think first 2 seasons were the best, and season 3, but then, I mean, and you can kind of lump Gen V into perhaps a 4th tangential season of The Boys.
Right. So Gen V is a little bit different in that it takes elements of some of the plots in the comics, but really expands on them and really kind of makes it its own thing, more so than The Boys itself. So in a nutshell, Marcus, what did you think of Gen V so far? We have 7 episodes with a finale this week.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's kind of strange that we're doing it like this, but I understand why. Because we were supposed to talk about this a couple of weeks ago, and then we could have revisited it for the finale. But scheduling and everything, messes things up. I think Gen V started quite strong, introducing some the way it introduced some of the main characters, in particular Jazz Sinclair as Marie Moreau.
Yeah.
who is the hemokinetic. I prefer Blood Witch. I think it's a much better. That should be her name. She should be called Blood Witch or Blood
Yeah.
Bitch. Yeah, I think she's great. You learn about her tragic past, because every superhero's got to have a tragic past. And I think this is the thing to remember: these are not superheroes; these are
Right.
superpowered individuals.
Right.
And there is nothing more dangerous when you think going to college is not exactly great for kids at the best of times because of what it does to them. And I'm not a big fan of the college environment. I would much rather kids get out and learn learn trades and experiences that outside of an overpriced educational system. But you get to see what happens when you have these super powerful individuals where they're teenagers and they're drinking and they're doing drugs and they're making all the bad decisions that you're supposed to do in college,
Yeah.
but they're doing it while they're fucking super powered. And
And
so obviously
privileged.
yeah. Well, yes, I'm very privileged because obviously you've got to be a certain skill level, I suppose, or a certain power set to actually be accepted to God College. And so that's another fun thing. It's called Godolphin.
Godolphin University.
Godolphin University, but it's called God U.
Right.
Because everybody there is more powerful than God in their own eyes. But it is a very interesting look at things, and it does relay. It does explore, a lot of these things as we move forward. We find out all the layers, and we find out what's going on. Patrick Schwarzenegger, who's Arnie's son, is a fucking lunatic who keeps on turning up.
No, that's his brother. Luke is Patrick Schwarzenegger.
That's right, the youngest one, who is the absolute fucking nutter. My apologies.
Right. But let's get into the characters a bit later. So, like, generally for Gen V, I think it's a fantastic series after 7 episodes. As I mentioned in previous episodes about comic books, I like that stage, like the Teen Titans, Young Justice, where the heroes they're not sidekicks, but they're not the main superheroes. They're still kind of finding themselves. So that's where these guys are at as college students. For me, I love the college environment. It really not the classes and everything, but in terms of growing up and finding myself. But I can't imagine what it's like to go to college these days with the pressures that you normally have, but with the world of social media and how that impacts everything. And then adding superpowers on top of that, I just think it's really interesting. I like the plot. I think it's good, but I think the characters are great. So I'm really enjoying Gen V so far, and I can't wait for the finale.
So here's my thing. Gen V, it's not bad, but it does feel like it's, let's do a CW show on Amazon Prime. And, it's something like, I don't know, Sabrina the Teenage Witch or Riverdale or Roswell or whatever, where a lot of these incredibly good-looking kids have superpowers and are having these scrapes, and there's an overarching big bad. And I did make this comment to you before we started airing. It feels like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but without the witty repartee.
Right.
There's
So do you want to skip ahead to that part?
Sorry, no, I mean, you asked me what I thought about it, and I never really got back to
right. But I mean,
so that was my issue. So I'm sorry, I jumped ahead, but yes.
I see the CW point where it's a beautiful and culturally diverse cast of young people, like pretty much every CW show.
Yeah.
But let's stick to what you're enjoying about the show so far.
Yeah, let's actually stick to the the schedule that you so very nicely typed up and you set up. And I'm sorry, I went.
No, good.
What do I love about Gen V? You have to go first because I don't know if I love anything about Gen V. I don't love the show.
Okay.
So you, however, love the show. So
I do.
You should share.
It's the characters. I just think they're very interesting. If we take Emma and Marie, they're roommates. And one has a superpower that's basically self-harm, and the other has the superpower that's basically bulimia. I think that's interesting. You have the whole element of, you know, one of the characters fools around with his best friend's girlfriend, as you mentioned, the drinking and the drugs. Um, Jordan Lee, I think, is a really interesting character because they are a bigender superhero, which I don't remember any. They can switch between male and female, and they have different powers when they're male or female.
Mystique.
But she can become
Predominantly she
anything. Yeah.
identifies as a female, but I mean, she's more of a shapeshifter. She can be anything,
Yeah, that's
but she's a
true.
she. So,
Although technically she gave birth, so I mean, biologically she would be classified as female.
do we know if this character can give birth?
We do not.
Do we know if she was born? They were born male or female.
We know they were raised male, and when their powers triggered, that's when they could switch.
Right.
And that is a source of angst with the stereotypically Asian parents, which I enjoyed that aspect of. But yeah, I like what these kids struggle with, with their, like, all the kids, they're all kind of messed up in different ways, but they have good intentions. And all the adults are just varying degrees of awful. So I love the contrast.
Do they all have good intentions though?
I think for the primary cast, I don't see a nefarious one among them yet, unless that's what's going to happen.
I mean, you've seen episode 7, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you're talking about
look,
Kate.
there's you're looking at a fucking agenda right there, mate. There is one character who's, been taking nefarious pills.
Right, but I think she was manipulated very easily because of the nature of her powers and how they were triggered. So I think she was a target. I think she seems good at heart.
Well, we'll see in the finale.
We will see in the finale. As you mentioned, Patrick Schwarzenegger plays Golden Boy. And I thought this was inspired casting. I'm like, he's supposed to be the picture perfect ideal of a superhero. So
yeah, that's the one I thought Patrick Schwarzenegger was. And you keep on seeing, he's not the psycho that his brother is, but you can tell he's got, that he's got a couple of screws loose from the get-go. And then, of course, there's a very interesting scene in the first episode that kind of freaks us all out. It's like,
right. How I interpreted that was a result of his mind being messed with repeatedly, and not necessarily his own nature himself. But what I loved about this casting is that he's supposed to be Golden Boy. He's supposed to be perfect. And of course, for America, you get someone with Kennedy genes in there, and it's ideal. Could not
Kennedy
be.
And Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I never thought Arnold was that handsome, aside from being big and powerful.
He gives him the height and the genetic build.
Yeah. He definitely has that. But yeah, the thing that stands out for me about this series is the characters. I just love how diverse and interesting, and more so the students. Although I'll watch anything Shelley Khan is in because she's like the hottest 50-year-old ever. So there's nothing that you love about it, or is there anything you like about it?
It's not that I don't love it. It's just I thought about this as I was watching episode 7 this weekend. I'm like, take it or leave it. I could take it or leave it. It doesn't grab me the way the parent show does, but the way The Boys does. It doesn't grab me the way Invincible does. I think it's down to everything just happening on that fucking campus. I mean, everything is just stuck within that same. There's no variety whatsoever. And once you've seen, one bunch of soups getting pissed off in an auditorium, you've seen it all, and you see it more than a few times, and you're back at the same auditorium for a fundraiser, and it really does. I mean, unfortunately, that's where it feels like superhero 90210.
Right. I mean, they are in college, so I
No,
expect
I
them.
understand that, and look, there's some very interesting aspects about it. The sort of like the cracking the top 10 and the top 5
Yeah.
with regards to being those characters. Is that you slowing down, or is it me?
Mm, I'm good on my end.
Okay, you just froze. Did I freeze? Do you have
Nope.
any issues with me? I'm gonna
Nope.
just shut down a couple of background apps just in case, because I was updating some things earlier. Um, yeah, I mean it's the it doesn't feel as vital and vibrant as the boys do to
Okay.
me.
No, no,
But
I
it's
get
not.
that.
I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm not saying that at all. It's just not. It just doesn't grab me as much. The first couple of episodes were really, really interesting. Had some cool things going on, and then it's just kind of plateaued for me. And I mean, if I'm looking up the characters now. I've actually got the list of the actual characters up because they're instantly forgettable with regards to their names. Um, and I think that's it's just again I'm an old man. This isn't aimed at me. I'm 50 fucking 2 years old, man, and I can enjoy superhero stuff and everything, but this is an alien experience to me.
Right.
You
Whereas
put
I date people in this age range. Just kidding. Sort of. So
moving swiftly on. All right, what's next on the list? All right, what we all right. So this one is for Ray. What were your favorite students in Gen V?
I mean, there's so many of them that I like. My favorite would probably be Kate, because this girl is messed up. She has psychic powers that are activated by touch. She could do the whole mind reading thing, but the dean gave her pills to get the voices out, to basically block the voices out of her head. But she can control people and give them psychic suggestions only with her hands for some reason, which is why she's wearing gloves here. But she has been manipulated and abused because when her powers activated, she told her brother to go away and never came back when they were
on a camping trip.
camping
Weren't they?
trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he did fuck off and never came back, which pissed off her mom. Her mom wanted nothing to do with her, felt unsafe.
Like you do.
Yeah.
Told your brother to fuck off and he's dead, probably dead somewhere. I'd be a little pissed too.
So she's basically manipulated by the dean, saying that, hey, I'm not afraid of you. Like you can touch me, you can hug me. So as a young person, this is when she was like probably 8 or something. That's such a big thing. And the dean just manipulated her the rest of her lives into doing messed up things. A lot of times to her friends.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So
I mean, this is a spoiler. We're now into spoiler territory, so I suppose we need to perhaps delve back on some of these spoilers because that was quite a big plot point you just gave away.
Yeah, well, I didn't say what she did, but I mean,
yeah, but come on,
two
and two together. We got a very smart audience.
Yeah,
they're very intuitive.
And also, Carlos is here. No, just kidding, man.
Hey, competition winner Carlos in the house.
So yeah, he is leading our fantasy league. I gained a little ground, but he still has a commanding lead. He always asks us to acknowledge him. I acknowledged you. Are you happy?
Yes, you are acknowledged.
So I like her inner conflict and the trust issues that she has caused among.
Okay, we've stared at her enough now. She's pretty, but you're prettier. Show me your face.
Well, I mentioned Jordan Lee.
Okay, all right.
So there are both halves of Jordan Lee. They cannot appear separated like this, but in the promotional poster they are. So I like that they cast a female with somewhat masculine qualities and a male with somewhat feminine qualities to show this bi-gender superhero. I thought that was pretty cool. And as I mentioned, here is Emma on the left and Marie on the right. So Emma has size-changing powers that are activated
Can we just say, Ray, that you love all of them? Because I mean, you're just going. I mean, we're now going through all these characters.
No,
and you're basically saying that you love every single one of these. Is this what you're saying?
No, because
Are
I'm
they
going to be
your favorite?
racist. I'm going to be racist and say I don't like the black guy. Just kidding. But I did find him the least interesting. He has daddy issues, and it's just that's not something I never ever encountered or can
Look, when your
identify with.
daddy is Sean Patrick Thomas,
Yeah,
the staple of '90s, of various '90s movies and TV shows. I mean, I know perhaps late '90s, early 2000s. I mean, you'd have daddy issues too.
yeah.
And can I just say that Sean Patrick Thomas is aging very, very well.
How old is he now? Because he does look awesome. He is.
Give me
Let's
one
look it up.
second. He is. How old is he?
Because it appears he is out Idris Elba-ing Idris Elba. So another finely preserved middle-aged man.
It doesn't seem to say, but yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's awesome. All right, so you like the entire cast, apparently. I will give
52.
shout outs to two cast members,
Yeah.
two characters. Jazz Sinclair as Marie,
Yeah.
the Blood Witch. I fucking just love that power and how we were introduced to her. And then I'm gonna say that Lizzie Broadway as Emma Meyer / Little Cricket.
Yeah.
She is far and away the funnest character on that fucking show. She is. I mean, she has these powers that she can shrink down. And to shrink, she has to throw up.
Right.
And then to grow, she has to eat. And she discovers that later on she can go up too. But it's really interesting that
no, she knew that. She knew she can grow, but her mother told
nobody
her
else
not
knew.
to.
I think nobody else knew.
That's right.
So what's really funny to me is that we had the Ant-Man Thanos theory for Avengers Endgame, and Little Cricket, she shows that theory would have worked.
See,
and you gotta fucking love Little Cricket.
Problem
so I mean,
solved.
she is absolute. I think she is my favorite. She is my favorite character. The fact that we don't see her as much. I know you like the Kate Dunlap character. I think she is as boring as ditch water. She's a knockoff of Jean Grey meets Rogue, and she has all the charisma of a used biscuit, a wet biscuit at that.
Let me ask you something about Emma. I almost get like a Brittany Murphy and Clueless vibe from her.
Yeah, I mean, she comes out of her shell, doesn't she? She's somebody who, if you watched Wednesday, she's like the roommate in Wednesday who's trying to become a werewolf. And there's nothing wrong with a good roommate, and you watch them evolve. Friday, you can watch them evolve, and she really does evolve.
Yeah,
I mean, she takes stuff on, she grows, she assumes this responsibility, and that's why I think she's the standout, because the rest of them what's the phrase I'm looking for? Whiny little bitches. They're all whiny, good-looking little bitches, and I'm sure they're all great actors and actresses. But yeah, the Andre Anderson character, his dad is more interesting than he is, which is obviously.
right. I mean, he's
Sean
the one
Patrick
I didn't
Thomas's
like.
polarity. Yeah. Like I said, the Emma Meyer character. I mean, she could also be, a knockoff of the White Queen from X-Men. I just, again, cheapest character that you could have there. The Jordan Lee character, fun novelty initially. Play some interesting, there's interesting role play, seeing the tension with the parents, especially at the fundraising scenes.
Right.
So again, not nowhere near as annoying as the other characters, including Golden Shower, who is just really fucking annoying as well. But that whole couple thing is just they're just annoying as fuck.
But see, these are all people that I went to college with. Like Marie is the incredibly ambitious student. Emma's the one that wants to be everyone's friend. Jordan is the Asian kid with the overbearing, with the tiger mom. So
that's the problem. They come off as stereotypes. There is nothing different between these characters in 2023 and what Joss Whedon wrote with Buffy the Vampire Slayer season sort of like 5, 6, when they all went off to college.
Sure. I
And I
don't.
mean that is my problem, is
Right.
that for some reason it's like, oh well, we have to make this cast really interesting. What are we going to do? Are we going to write really interesting backstories for all of them and really sort of like step outside the box? Or are we just going to pick? It's like we feel that we've cast a diverse cast and we can step back now, and it's nothing to do with the quality of the actors. Well, I'm sure probably all fine actors, or learning their craft as they go. But I mean, you just said it yourself, they are fucking stereotypes.
No,
They
you
are
said
all,
that. I did
no,
not say
no. But I mean,
stereotype.
you said
Right.
I went to school with this character. I went to school with that
Right.
character.
But see, I don't
And I
see
mean,
that.
they are
I don't see
generic.
that as a flaw, though. You do. I don't.
I do.
I
I
see
do
that.
indeed, because I think you can have. They are all way too good looking. There is nobody normal looking in the entire group. There's nobody overweight. There's it's like, oh, the Asian student is the one with the overbearing parents. And the black kid also has an overbearing parent who
Right.
wants him to follow in his footsteps. And it's just, I understand it's really hard to write this stuff. I couldn't do it, but it doesn't, like I said, that's why Little Cricket is the standout character.
Right. But see,
Because of
what I'm
she comes
saying.
in and just moves front and center for me.
I understand why you think it's an issue, but for me, it's not. I mean, they all have aspects of them that I can identify with or I've seen in friends. Whereas if you look at the cast of The Boys, I mean, first of all, it's not really, to me, it's not really an ensemble show. It's very much a butcher's show. But I don't identify with any of them because they're just so out there and weird,
But I mean, let's face it, we're talking about superpowered individuals. Are we supposed to identify with them?
You are, because that's what the whole point of having them in the college setting is that you're supposed to see them. You were criticizing them earlier as their powers or aspects of their powers, but I look at them as dealing with different aspects of what different college kids go through. And to me, that's where I think the show is most interesting, is because you have those pressures of being a college student with superpowers on top of that. So that's why I'm digging it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll throw you another character out there, Rufus.
Okay.
Rufus, he's got the blonde hair. He's not like super good looking. He's just like, but he's like Draco Malfoy, another from Harry Potter, another sort of like, badly written character who is just two-dimensional. Rufus, two-dimensional. You can tell, oh, he's going to be a bit of a prick. And what does he do? He fucks around with people. He really does fuck around with people, and not in a good way. I mean, he's an incel. He's a potential rapist, and he does get some,
he's very much a
well, I mean, I don't know. Oh, actually, yes, he did.
Yes,
because I know he got stopped
right.
And in glorious, like that was just glorious.
Boom.
But yeah, I just think that the characters, I mean, and I do understand how you say, I actually think that Huey is the soul of The Boys, not Butcher. But I do think that this show, and we did have this discussion before, it needs a Butcher type character. There's nobody there really to stir shit up. They need a shit stirrer, and there's nobody there to do it. A shit stirrer who's treading that fine line between being a good guy but just going over the line, and where do they become an absolute arsehole? Who's running that line? And maybe it could have been an older character they could have brought in, but yeah, I mean, it just lacks that variety that The Boys does for me.
Right. No, I see that. That part doesn't bother me, and it doesn't need that for me. But because I think the real villains in this show are the adults. Now,
again, another trope.
Sure, but let's talk about their performances. I mean, what is there anyone you liked in the adults? Because you're not liking much.
Well, no, there was one, and they killed him in the first fucking episode.
A legend.
I mean, Jeepers Creepers. No, look, I mean, you got Clancy Brown. I
Yeah.
mean, he is an absolute legend in whatever he's in. And I was looking, and you do see him more in flashbacks. And again, spoiler warning: if you haven't watched this, it's been out for 7 weeks. What the fuck you doing? You know, he gets souped in the first episode, and it really is holy shit! I thought he was one of the major stars. So yeah, he is. Boom. I understand what you're talking about with Indira Shetty, the dean of God U.
Yeah.
Um, very, very, very talented actress. But again, I
And
don't know.
slaying it
Just
recently. We saw she's slated, she's in Bridgerton. A lot of people know her from that.
never watched an episode.
Uh
I mean,
okay.
I won't watch it. I won't watch frickin' Downton Abbey. Do you think I'm going to watch Shonda Rhimes' version of Downton fucking Abbey? No, thank
Right,
you.
right. She was recently in Good Omens season 2, which we discussed a few episodes ago.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
look, they made the the universe the university dean, and guess what? Oh my god, you think she's a bad person? Well, she is English. I mean, literally. I mean, why didn't they just give her a moustache to twirl and go, "Welcome to God U. This is I'm your dean, and even though I'm a woman, I'm going to be evil."
right, I don't know that. I mean, she's
I
done
mean,
messed up things, but there's we find out later that it's rooted in a very specific trauma related to the boys. Um, so she's hell bent. She's filled with revenge and rage. So that's what's interesting to me about
yeah,
her.
I mean, she actually does have a. You are right. She does have a great reason to go after it. I would like to have seen her use that. And again, this is something that we'll talk about and what we hope for the finale. But I have a hope for that character that maybe we'll see something in the finale. But and look,
Interesting.
I'm not down on every character. I think, like I
Yeah,
said,
no,
the young ones are. We could have done with a bit more variety. We could have done with somebody, who is. It's like, oh, most of the young people are good and they just need guidance. And there's nobody there because all the old people are bad. All the old people are assholes. And it's cheap. It's cheap television,
I
in
don't
my
know.
opinion.
I think that's realistic because I think kids are inherently good and get worse as they. Some kids get worse as
No,
they grow up.
I actually think
You think there are evil children?
I think there are absolutely evil
Oh,
children,
I
but I
don't.
also think that, like, but you do have a point that they are the product of their environment. It's nature
Yes,
and nurture, in my opinion.
yes.
But, it just, there is nobody there who is overwhelmingly good, or there is nobody there with just there's not one decent adult in that series, and that's a bit much. I mean, they're all fucking assholes, and they, while you honestly think that they've got this university where they have all these characters, and yes, there's going to be an underlying reason why shit's going on at God U, but would every member of the faculty be involved?
Well, I mean, when we learn what
Yeah.
the true purpose of God you is, then I think it makes sense in that context
I'm just
because
saying they
it's
could have
not
actually had they could have had one good grown up who, they could have killed him in like episode 3 or 4 or something, and it could have been like, there is, not all it feels like a bunch of 40 somethings have written this show, and they're taking out their college experience, putting it out there, and then saying, "Oh, all old people are, people over, old people are evil," and blah blah blah. And it's a little bit, too much, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think it makes sense when you learn the true nature of God you, because this is not Professor Xavier's school for gifted youngsters. This
Oh,
is
it's totally it's
yeah,
totally the opposite, and what they're doing is evil.
yes,
Um,
but
but
intentionally so, not a byproduct of whoever's there. I mean, everyone, all the bad adults are there for a reason. So it's intentional.
yeah, I think again it's something that the boys does way better, where they've got much more variety. I mean, admittedly, they're all grown ups, but what they do in the boys is so much better with regards to the cast levels. That's just
So
me.
let's give a Clancy Brown shout out. I think he should get some kind of trophy or statue for being a nerd legend from Highlanders, Superman the animated series, Star Wars Rebels, and now Gen V. I
Starship
mean,
Troopers.
Starship Troopers. I mean, just the voice alone is incredible. But this guy
Yeah.
is a legend, and I was so happy to see him in this series.
He is an absolute icon, and yeah, let's see. I mean, he was in Bad Boys, Buckaroo Banzai, Highlander. He was in Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
Really? Wow.
Yes, he was police officer in the Speed Demon song segment. He was amazing in Starship Troopers. Absolutely outstanding in Shawshank Redemption.
Yes. Oh, of course. Yes.
Yeah. And then I'm just going through his list here of stuff that he's done.
Starship Troopers with my friend Casper Van Dien, who we used to chat on Twitter until he unfollowed me.
Oh, what a bastard!
I met him. I interviewed him on a set once, and then he introduced me to his wife, and then I found out they're kind of crazy MAGA people.
Oh, for some reason, there's so many of that sort of like era people. But again, he's in John Wick 4. He's just brilliant.
Did not see that. Yeah. Was he good in that? I didn't see John Wick 4.
I mean, but in 1983, he was in the Dukes of Hazzard episode "Too Many Roscoes." So yes, no, he's an absolute legend, absolutely legend. So yeah, I'm gonna we absolutely need to give a shout out to him. Yeah, I mean, he could have been somebody, a character that we could have actually seen perhaps a little bit more of, and he could have been this Butcher-esque character,
right?
But
maybe possibly
that one in the fucking bud.
Is he too expensive for an Amazon Prime show? I don't know what their budget is or what they're working with.
Oh Jesus! I mean, look, let's face it. Bezos,
oh wait, they had the Lord of the Rings. That's the most.
Yeah, Bezos is spaffing all his money on Lord of the Rings and his penis-shaped freaking
his
rocket, his blue monkey, or whatever the hell it's called. I mean, Jesus, hair loss really is a problem for some men, isn't it?
So we've been talking about this throughout, but how would you sum up your misgivings of this show, or why you're not enjoying it as much as The Boys?
Yeah, like I said, I don't hate it. It's just it's definitely a take it or leave it thing to me. I do feel like it's something I'd expect from the CW. It's almost as if it's at times it's a bad Greg Berlanti extravaganza, but with boobies and penises that go and lots of swearing.
Was there too many dongs for you? And there's a lot of dongs in this show. So
we're British, we got no problem with dongs. I mean, it's America's got the problem with fucking genitalia. Yeah, my country. I was raised on Benny Hill, motherfucker.
Oh, okay.
Cocks to the left of me, cocks to the right of me. Bags of dicks everywhere. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it with nudity or anything like that. Sorry, I'm stretching my back because I'm old. I think I've said what's disappointed me. I don't think there's much that's disappointed you, because you sound very, very happy with the show.
I am very happy with the show. I'm very captivated from 1 through 7,
and I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad.
Well, no show is for everyone.
To have shows you can enjoy.
I mean, you liked the Indiana Jones movie way more than I did this year. So.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it once and I haven't seen it again. No interest in seeing it again.
Yeah, I will never see that again on purpose.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yes, as Bruce Hornsby once said.
Let's skip to the end then.
Yeah. What are your predictions, or what do you want from the finale?
Now, then we're going into spoiler territory here. I mean, major spoiler territory based around what's going on at God U. So if you are following, if you haven't seen any of this show and you want to sort of like go, even though everything's out on the internet anyway, you may want to step away now. Okay? We'll give you the 1, 2, 3. Bye-bye. I really hope, and look, it's not going to happen, but I would love if they end that show with Principal Shetty infecting Homelander.
Oh,
I would. I mean, it's not going to happen. We know it's not going to
yeah,
happen because Homeland is too important to
yeah,
The Boys season 4. But I would like to see some knock-on effect and something that maybe it's not going to be an infection that just kills him outright, but just makes him a little more
less
ass
powerful.
kickable,
Okay,
less powered. I would love to see more of Little Cricket. I hope Little Cricket actually saves the day. I hope she doesn't go the way of like a ritual sacrifice. And those are probably the two things. I mean, I don't think, even if it's like exposed to the press, I don't think anything major is going to happen. I think this is it's going to be interesting to see how this relates to season 4 of The Boys, how much crossover there is with regards to this world, because Amazon's obviously trying to build their own universe around The Boys, with the various crossovers and the animated series, or Diabolical or whatever it's called. So yeah, that's me. Just give us a satisfying thing, and I know they've announced a season 2, but if there isn't a season 2, c'est la vie. Give us a solid ending. If you want to set this up for season 4 of The Boys, great. But yeah, it would be nice to see Homelander get some sort of comeuppance, just something that takes him into season 4 of The Boys as a little more vulnerable.
I can't see that happening because
it's not going to happen because I mean, he's the big bad. He is the big bad, and he's an amazing character, an amazing actor. And yeah, he is everything that's wrong with America.
Yes, and he's so good as that character, Anthony.
He's deliciously good.
Yeah.
And again, there's nobody, in my opinion, even Little Cricket doesn't quite come up to that level. And it just, like I said, that's where the characters on The Boys seem way more fleshed out.
So this is more of a hope than prediction, but I don't know if you caught the trailer for the finale, but they basically showed two groups of students.
I didn't watch it because I've avoided watching these trailers coming out now. I just want to sit and watch it with no surprises, because there's nothing worse. I learned this from so many shows will say, the main characters died, and then we'll show you a teaser in next week's episode where the main character's not dead.
Right. So the group of friends fractures basically, and then there's a big fight. They're divided
because there's no Chandler
sides, and I want at least one person from each side to die. I think somebody is going to die. They started the series with a death. I think they're going to end with at least one death. So
as long as it's not Cricket.
Yeah.
Little Cricket has to live. I would like to see Little Cricket come forward and
I don't know,
in the 7.
Narratively, it would make sense to have the most innocent one die, because the death of innocence changes.
I don't think she's innocent anymore. I think she's genuinely nice. I don't think she's innocent anymore. The scenes in the drive-in movie theater, there's no innocence there. I mean, the scenes underneath God,
I don't think that's not what I meant by innocent.
I'm just saying. I mean, even the scenes underneath God, where she puts into she tests the Thanos effect.
Sure, but I mean,
again, that's not
what I mean by innocent. She is clearly the most wholesome character of the kids.
It would be a very cheap out if they got rid of her.
Well, it depends how they do it and who does it.
There are so many more deserving characters.
I mean, if Sam kills her, then I think that would be interesting, because he's the one.
Blondie's got to go.
Kindness for her.
Blondie's got to go if they're going to kill someone. Right. I mean, obviously, Dean Shetty's going to get it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, The Boys lets vile people live, so
yeah,
we'll see. But again, that's what I like about how Amazon has changed The Boys, because it's really its own thing now and has diverged greatly from the comics. And Gen V is very much its own thing. And I don't know what's going to happen in the finale. And I love that. I love not knowing. It makes it more interesting for me. So let's get to some of the comments here. Thanks for warning me the dangers of playing pickleball.
Can we just say how stupid pickleball is? I mean, I don't get it. It seems to be this white person's game that's
Yes.
replaced fucking squash. It was squash or racquetball in
Yes.
the 80s and 90s, and now it's fucking pickleball. There's no pickles. I
Mhm.
mean, if you wanted to do something called, I mean, it's like American football where you don't actually have much boot to ball. If you want to play pickleball, you should have a pickle and you should be hitting balls with pickles.
Well, I mean, they're not going to call it what it actually is. It's like tennis for lazy people, basically. Carlos wants to know what changes would Marcus make to Gen V that would make him love this show for season 2?
I don't know. I mean, I'll have to get through episode 8 and to see if episode 8, is the final piece in the jigsaw that perhaps brings it all together for me. Because sometimes you need this one episode to go, so you can go back and go,
Yeah.
I'm not holding out that much hope. And so what I'd say is cancel Gen V, which is not, they're not going to do. I know season 2 is coming, and I'm just saying it to make Raymond cry. But cancel Gen V.
You're not.
Put all that effort and budget into more The Boys. Give us a Butcher spin-off series. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I really don't know until I've watched episode 8 next week.
So Maria is acknowledging that we've acknowledged Carlos. So now can someone beat him in the league? I can't be the only one trying here.
Dude, I've been having a horrible season. I mean, I got crippled by so many red cards in the first couple of days. And it's like stupid red cards too. Some of which my red card with one of my players got rescinded and I didn't get the points for it.
Oh, that sucks.
And that's a problem because again, the Premier League Fantasy League is just badly thought out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
earlier when I was talking about being able to relate to the student characters, Maria asked, "Can you imagine being relatable with Homelander?" Aha. Well, I can't. Well, for the obvious reasons of not being a white American.
Look, I have worked with Homelanders, but obviously without the superpowers. But I mean, look, there's a whole swath of the country that is, that is, pseudo Homelanders. It's a definite mentality. It's there's a very little Englander mentality to him that could be little MAGA aspect to him.
Well, very much.
Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of that. I mean, we can't relate to them because we're decent people. Yes, I went there, and then let's face it, if you believe you can make America great again, then you're not a decent person.
Oh, we have two really interesting questions here. First one is for you, Marcus. Would Marcus want the shit stirrer in Gen V to be a super or a regular person like Butcher?
Well, I think if it was like a regular person like Butcher, that would be just too on the nose. Like, oh look, we've got Butcher 2. We've got prepubescent Butcher, or say he's an exchange student from London, England. He is Freddie Butcher. No, I don't know. I mean, I haven't put a lot of thought into it, but it could be interesting to see if it was a different kind of soup who was fucking around, not somebody who's super powerful and perhaps has one of these. Doesn't have anything like super strength or invulnerability or whatever. One of the lesser powers or something, maybe have the power to make it rain or something, or, to, recycle really well. But the beauty of Butcher is he doesn't have the powers. And he doesn't give a fuck. He's going to take these fuckers down. And having somebody like that who doesn't give a fuck, who's all in, who is, who blurs the lines. That's
like I don't think
little cricket could be, that's my hope for season 2. Little cricket front and center as the emotional core, who or the shit stirrer.
I don't think it would make sense to have a regular person be the shit stirrer because it's a college for supers. So so there wouldn't be a young person there that is normal unless one of them.
Will there even be a college for next time around? I mean, it's Gen V, so it's Generation V. It's not God U. The title of the show is not God U. So maybe the 6 friends, they all move into a couple of apartments in New York, go down for coffee. Who knows?
I don't think there's going to be 6 of them at the end of the finale, but we'll see. Rob has a great question here. Who do you think was listening and the other end of Mallory's phone when she met with Shetty? That is a great question.
That is a really, really good question.
Wow. Could she be talking to Butcher? Probably not, too low level. Is she talking to someone from Vought?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the the latest hand puppet who's running Vought, maybe, who has because that the everything that is going on at the university is being tracked by Vought.
Yes.
They will have spies everywhere. They
Yes.
will know exactly what's going on. They will know what Shetty's up to. And I think for them, they're looking at this disease as an insurance policy, whereas Shetty just wants to kill them all.
Right.
And so it's like, how much leash do we give Shetty before we rein her back in, or indeed hang her with it?
Do you think that will be revealed in the finale, or are they going
to? I think it could well be. Again, I don't want them to leave too many cliffhangers. So,
right.
Especially if this is going to, segue into Boys season 4.
Yeah, I think that's the order.
Rob, that is a freaking brilliant question.
Yes.
So now we're acknowledging Rob.
Yes.
Sorry, Carlos, you've not really delivered anything today. Your team is doing way too well in the fantasy league. So Rob is the new Carlos.
Well, Rob also makes our intro and outro videos, so we should acknowledge him for that.
We should acknowledge him even more than that. So thank you, Rob.
Yeah, and on several levels. But yeah, that's a fantastic question, and I'm going to be thinking about that one up until, when is it here? Thursday night that it's released?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a great question. Now,
I wasn't pitching the Real World Gen V. I was pitching Friends Gen V.
Yes, instead of Central Park, there.
Yes, exactly. They go to a coffee house. Come on, Carlos.
Yes.
Did you not pay attention?
It's a callback, Carlos. Callback. We talked about Friends in the beginning.
Oh my
God damn it!
Unprofessional.
So I think that's a wrap for this episode. I had fun because we have different opinions on this show, and
we respect the opinions.
Yeah. Next week, I believe we're going to talk about video games that we want remade.
Yeah, this is something that's very close to my heart, and there are quite a few of them. I finally started playing Phantom Liberty today, the Cyberpunk expansion pack. So I downloaded it, and I got to say, I think one of the things I do want to talk about at some point is where I am in Starfield. And what do I think of all the changes to Cyberpunk? Because Cyberpunk, when it came out, was one of my favorite games of all time.
Really?
Even though it wasn't as buggy on my PC because everybody was playing it on outdated, shitty little consoles. So when you play it on a true PC, which is where you play all the great games, because let's face it, consoles are just dumbed down PCs, then you can understand the experiences. And I had such a good time with Cyberpunk. And now I'm having it again with Cyberpunk and all the patching and stuff. So big ups to CD Projekt, despite firing a bunch of people. They've been unionized now.
Yeah. So we will see about that. But yeah, thank you for everyone that left comments and watched along with us. If you're watching the replay and have questions for us, all our socials are up there. Please like, subscribe, and love our videos. And we will see you next time on the Beer Pad. Say goodbye, Marcus.
No, you say goodbye, Marcus.
Goodbye, Marcus.
Goodbye, Ray.